dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6:32 on June the 20th. It's Thursday, and as Brandon reminded me, if we haven't said it yet this morning, it's Friday Eve. But you're going to want to get to the real Friday because it's supposed to rain again today, but there's a tiny bit of relief in sight on the real thing. Brandon?
Exactly, and we got to get there first, and unfortunately we got to go through a whole other day of chances for rain. Let's get into it this morning. Live pinpoint Doppler radar, and you can see it lighting up like a Christmas tree down south with red and orange and green and yellow, indicating those those heavier bands of rain. The brighter the colors and the darker the colors there, the heavier bands of rain. So be careful. Maybe some thunderstorms embedded in some of those too, especially down into southern Kentucky. There is a flood advisory in effect for several of those counties until 8:30 this morning. Looking at temperatures in the 60s area wide, a little bit of wind cranking up out of the south, so temperatures are actually going up just a little bit. Some 8-mile-an-hour wind speeds in Wise and Monticello, 9 there in Williamsburg, and 7 in London. Day planner. We are going to see again the possibilities for rain off and on throughout the day. Temperatures only top out in the upper 70s thanks to cloud cover and rain. The rest of the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Will?
Alrighty, Brandon, thank you. Well, it is being hailed as a victory for coal companies. The Trump administration is fighting to bring back the U.S. coal industry with a new plan, the Affordable Clean Energy Rule. The new plan gives more control to individual states, allowing them to submit plans to the EPA, creating their own regulations. The Kentucky Coal Association sees it as a way to save the struggling coal industry.
Is a step in the right direction that will help save the coal fleet, which is vital to jobs and manufacturing base and electricity.
Now, the rule will go into effect shortly after publication in the Federal Register. Environmental groups are expected to challenge this in court. Well, several Job Corps centers that were scheduled to close may still open after all. A spokesperson for the USDA, which oversees Forest Service Job Corps centers, does not intend to transfer these centers to the Department of Labor for the time being. The Flatwood Corps Civilian Conservation Center in Coburn, Virginia, is one of those that will stay open for the time being. Well, the U.S. military says a Japanese tanker attacked in the Gulf of Oman last week was damaged by a limpet mine. According to the Navy, the mine used in the attack looks just like mines Iran displays during military parades. Limpet mines are usually attached to the hull of a ship below the water surface using magnets. The Navy says it has hand and fingerprints from whoever placed the mine. Well, the number of American tourists who have died at a resort in the Dominican Republic is now up to 9. The 55-year-old Joseph Allen's family says he had just gotten a physical before his trip, showing a clean bill of health. He was found dead in his hotel room last week after complaining about a mild fever the night before. The FBI is working with Dominican authorities. In political news this morning, former Vice President and current Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden says he has nothing to be sorry about. At a fundraiser on Tuesday, Biden was discussing his early years in Washington when he worked alongside segregationist senators like James Eastland of Mississippi and Herman Talmadge of Georgia. Biden said, quote, "Things got done and with civility." His remarks prompted another White House candidate, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, to demand an apology.
Apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better. I'm not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career. Period. Period. Period.
Now, Booker responded to Biden's criticism saying, quote, "I was raised to speak truth to power, and I shall never apologize for doing that, and Vice President Biden shouldn't need this lesson." Well, Kentucky native Kelly Knight Craft faced a Senate confirmation hearing in Washington yesterday. She is President Trump's pick to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Craft previously served as ambassador to Canada. She is the wife of billionaire coal executive and Hazard native Joe Craft. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he expects Craft to easily be confirmed to the position. Now, Missouri's only clinic that provides abortions may no longer be able to perform them by the end of the week. CBS News has learned that Planned Parenthood Clinic in St. Louis will defy state law, which says they must perform 2 pelvic exams before an abortion procedure. Missouri has some of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. Dr. David Eisenberg is the medical director of the clinic.
We are choosing to provide the best quality patient-centered care that we've always provided at Planned Parenthood. And that includes doing things that are driven by science, by evidence, and by what's medically appropriate.
The state says Planned Parenthood has violated laws and regulations. A recent annual inspection by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services cited Planned Parenthood for 30 deficiencies. A judge could rule as early as Friday on whether or not the court will renew Planned Parenthood's license. Well, 10 students from Floyd County recently returned from a mission trip in Puerto Rico. The group spent last week volunteering to clean up the area, which has been an ongoing effort since the hurricanes in 2017. WYMT's Buddy Forbes talked to members of the group about their experience.
Summer, a time for relaxation and beaches.
We did a lot of painting.
But for a group of Floyd County students, it has been a time for giving back.
We were actually at 3 or 4 different homes, like personal homes, that were selected through the disaster relief programs in Puerto Rico.
Helping to clean up from the devastation of the hurricanes that tore through in 2017.
Giving them back their humanity that they had been lacking from being alone and not having help around their house has really made a big impact in my heart.
Giving 3 Prestonsburg High School students and 7 Floyd Central students a taste of true service.
It was a huge bonding experience.
All thanks to Appalachian Global Service Corps, created by Steph Tanner and Alex Smith.
They both were teachers in Knox County a couple years ago, and they started this group to get students from Appalachia to travel abroad and do service projects.
Which gives Appalachian students a chance to make a global impact.
I don't think there's anything more powerful in developing your worldview and setting goals than traveling, and to get to see them do this at such a young age and start to experience those things now is just really powerful.
And change the way they view service.
I feel like when I help people, I don't get anywhere and I don't make a difference, but then on this trip I really made a difference with people and it helped me realize that.
By allowing them to change lives.
It was just so amazing to see them go from one type of person to another in just one day.
Creating a culture of helping others. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
This was the 4th trip organized by Appalachian Global Service Corporation. Well, the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History is offering free family activities today for the state's 156th birthday. A birthday cake and cupcakes will be available for guests, along with a state birthday card for visitors to sign. Youth activities will be offered in the Culture Center's education room, and an interfaith prayer service is scheduled for this afternoon. Guests also can view the Miss West Virginia 75th anniversary exhibit in the State Theater Balcony Gallery. Well, the Hazard Police Department finished moving into their new location in downtown Hazard Wednesday. WYMT's Katie Cook tells us how the new facility could benefit the community.
Moving isn't always easy, especially in the rain.
It's been very hectic.
But in this case, it's well worth it.
I think it's going to be a great place to be at. I think it's going to help us a lot.
From a bigger parking lot to more space.
It's more handicap accessible. There's multiple entrances and exits in this building compared to the old one.
The new building is more accessible to the public.
This will better serve our community for many years.
And the department is making the most out of the move.
We've tried to incorporate every bit of technology that we can into this facility.
Making the community a safer place.
We're just across the street from the fire department now, and that's a big asset because we back each other up.
From once serving hamburgers,
the new PD, the old McDonald's, it doesn't even look like it used to
now serving public safety.
They've done just about everything brand new inside.
This building continues to make an impact on the community each and every day. In Perry County, Katie Cook, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, the upgraded building is twice the size of the old Hazard Police Department. The police department wants to thank everyone in the community that helped them move. Well, it's 6:41 on this Friday Eve. Let's send it on over to Brandon, the Mr. Rainmaker, it seems like these days. Brandon?
Listen, I'm going to start calling myself Rain Man because I tell you, it just seems like it just rains every single day. I just shared something on my Facebook page. If you want a little bit of bright activity, Andrew Dockery is in Myrtle Beach, and he's looking at the sunrise in Myrtle Beach. So Siri's talking to Will over there. Live pinpoint Doppler radar. Heavy bands of rain down to the south this morning. We're continuing to track that. Of course, not some good news for those folks down that way. Temperatures in the 60s area wide across the state, 60s and 70s. Your out the door forecast, we are going to see upper 70s for daytime highs today. And of course, those chances for rain, as I'm being the bearer of bad news once again, will continue off and on throughout the last full day of spring. Will?
Alrighty, Brandon, thank you. Well, don't go anywhere. We will have stories trending on WYMT.com next. As always, thank you for joining us right here on Mountain News this morning. Straight ahead, we will have more on how one company is fighting to legalize lemonade stands. Yes, you heard that right. Lemonade stands across the country.